Welcome to Letters to Rising Leaders. It's a podcast series about God, soul, love, and leadership. And I'm your host, Tom Mohr. For those of you joining along in my book, Letters to Rising Leaders, this is week 45, and the topic is gifts. God needs us. He needs us in this hurting world. God has given us a role to play. He presents the needs that are in front of us, and He asks us to draw upon the gifts that He has bestowed in us so that we may respond as leaders of goodness. I'd like to share two stories today. They're very close to my heart because they're about my kids. One is about my daughter, Mary Catherine, the other about my son, Jack. As you might remember, Mary Catherine is adopted. Shortly after Mary Catherine's pregnant birth mother met us and asked us to be the parents of her child, Pegeen found out she was pregnant. And so Mary Catherine and Jack are just 7 months apart. When our kids were both around 6 years old, I installed a basketball hoop in our unfinished basement. We lived in Minnesota at the time. And of course, I made it low enough for the kids to be able to get the ball in the net. And I used to like to take the kids down there on those cold Minnesota days and play a little basketball together. So one day I had them down there, and I'm dribbling around, keeping it away from the kids who were, of course, running after me. And Jack almost got the ball. And so I pivoted just a bit. And Mary Catherine ran around in one direction, and Jack ran around in the other direction, but they didn't see each other. And as they came around the bend, their heads smacked right into each other, hard. And both of them began to cry pretty loudly. Blood was coming out of Mary Catherine's mouth, and so I went to her first. But immediately she shouted, "Go to Jackie! Go to Jackie!" That's my daughter. She always puts the needs of those she loves above her own needs. She always has, and she always will. She's a doctor now, probably not surprising. And that's one of her gifts. Here's another story. Jack was in high school. He was a pretty popular kid in high school, had a lot of friends, and his senior year he actually became student body president. But in middle school, he had experienced bullying. He was a physically smaller boy at that time in his life. He grew during high school. He's now over 6 feet taller than me. But back then he was pretty small, and he got picked on. Now, by the time Jack had entered high school, it was the mid-2000s. In his sophomore year, there was a kid who was really awkward socially. Let's call him Dave. And Dave invited everyone in his homeroom class to attend his birthday party. But word got out, and in the meanness of youth, no one was going to attend this party. Well, my son attended, stayed the whole time. Later on that year, Dave developed a real passion for singing in the choir. It was the one thing he most loved. At this time, social media was on the rise, and so Dave posted something online about how much he loved choir. And there was someone in the class, let's call him Joe, who decided it would be a good idea to rally everyone in the class to trash Dave's voice online. That evening, I happened to walk past Jack's room, and I heard him on the phone. He was having an intense exchange. "Take it down, damn it," he said. "Joe, you need to take it down now." "Because I said so. Don't you see what you're doing? How would you feel?" "Joe, I'm telling you this right now. If you don't bring it down in 5 minutes, I'm calling the principal. And that's one of Jack's gifts. He stands up for the underdog, for the more vulnerable. Now, as an adult, he participates in prison ministry. And he'd be the first to say that every time he gives, he receives. What are your gifts? My guess is that you have more gifts than perhaps you even know. God has richly bestowed on each and every one of us all kinds of gifts. And God calls upon us to use our gifts. And of course, as we do use our gifts, we are giving those gifts back to God. And in that gift, we receive. We come away from those experiences filled up with love, filled up with appreciation for the opportunity to have given something to someone else. I'm going to leave it there. The song for this week is called The Prisoner. I wrote it shortly after participating in a prison ministry retreat. And I think it gets across this idea that when we give, we receive. Robert Berry joins me both on instrumentals and on harmony. Enjoy.
He shares a cell, a 2-bed cell, 20 hours a day. And the other 4 hours he walks the yard out of everyone's way. His soul is parched like a dying plant, shriveled on the ground. And his heart is cased in a ring of stone, a tall wall all around. Isn't he a discarded one that we can just ignore? Doesn't his past forfeit his right to expect any more? Jesus says, no, 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 that man is my child. Won't you reach out, won't you reach out and love him? Our Lord says, no, 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 go rescue my child. There is no sin that is greater than my love. But where do I start with a hardened heart who won't admit his flaws? He can't forgive what's been done to him, nor forget the pain he's caused. So why did you choose me to help? Aren't there others who can serve? Who am I to help this guy who got what he deserved? Jesus says, go, go, go. Your brother needs you now. Won't you reach out? Won't you reach out and love him? Our Lord says, go, go, go. By the power of my love, I will choose you to rescue my child. We are Jesus' hands and feet. If not us, then who? I will be a servant of Christ. Will you join me too? His Bible's new and his faith is young, and he doesn't feel brave. But he's placed his past at the foot of the cross, and by God's grace he's saved. When you called on me to visit this man, I hoped you'd set him free. But I didn't know when you said just go, what a change you'd make in me. Jesus said, go, go, go. And I found a hurting soul, and together we made it back to Jesus. Our Lord says, go, go, go. Go and find my that is greater than my love. There is no sin that is greater than my love. There is no sin that is greater than my love.
When you called on me to visit this man, I hoped you'd set him free. But I didn't know when you said just go, what a change you'd make in me. Well, that's it for today. I hope you'll join us next week for the next episode in this Letters to Rising Leaders podcast series. As I say each week, leader of goodness, go in faith to love and heal the world.